Is woke culture really about equality, or is it just a mask for something more dangerous? Candace Owens, a voice that can't be ignored, has strong opinions on the issue.
I am not on TikTok. I have a very strict TikTok policy. I've decided if I'm ever going to join TikTok, I'm going to wear a blue wig and I'm going to be the opposite of Candace Owens.
Tell me what you think.
And I'm just going to be super woke and talk trash about conservatives all the time. So it's going to be my alter ego.
You're privileged.
And I don't know what her name's going to be, but she's going to really hate Candace Owens.
It's important to first consider her sharp critique of the woke
Many people
movement's
ask me,
underlying philosophy.
how do you use they, them pronouns for a singular person? Well, it's really easy. All you have to do is use it the same way that you would talk about a group of people. So, for example, I, Addison, use they, them pronouns. In that case, you talk about me like this. I know Addison. They are amazing. Their dress and their hair are amazing, and I'm so proud to know that. Now, a fun fact about they, them pronouns is that they've been used in a singular context for centuries. Even going back to Shakespearean times, there's actual documentation and literature using they and them in singular context. But if that still doesn't convince you to use they, them pronouns, I'll leave you with this piece of information. Our language is constantly changing and adapting. We're evolving to find new terms and language to self-identify. So get with the times, don't be an asshole.
Okay, they, them, Addison, Rose. I mean, I don't really want to say that. I just sometimes think that we have to hit the reset button on humanity and start over. I also have this strange urge to meet everyone's parents. Like, I just want to know who raised him. Are they? Who raised them? That's what I want to know. Like, how did we get here? Like, somebody's parents did not do a good enough job if this is what your child is committed to on the internet. It's just, who raised them? They.
I took my trans daughter to see her pediatrician for the first time since she has come out as trans. I called ahead to give them a heads up, and they assured me everything would be okay. When I got there, it was not okay. When we brought up the subject of puberty blockers, which we were just asking for information at this point, the doctor said, "Oh, I do not have any trans patients, and I don't know anything about that." But then proceeded to ask questions such as, "Have you researched people who regret transitioning?"
Achievement, but also breeds a culture of victimhood,
no,
where people are taught to blame others for their own lack of success.
Because that's not really my concern right now. My concern is to make sure my child doesn't turn into a statistic and unalive herself because she's not being loved and validated. So we're finding a new doctor.
Honestly, this one makes me super upset because in this scenario, the doctor should have probably called Child Protective Services. A child, like saying that there's a child who thinks it's trans is like saying there's a dog that thinks it's vegan. You know who's making the decision. Children don't think like this. So there's an unstable parent who is forcing upon their child, maybe because they think it shows that they're virtuous. Like, look, I'm accepting and I'm a great parent because my child wants puberty blockers. But in reality, that's what the parent wants. So good on the doctor for making, I guess, kind of edging them in the right direction by saying, have you heard of trans regret? But the fact that this is a child, when I was growing up, no child knew what trans was. Nobody thought about that. So the fact that this child is young enough that they're at a pediatrician talking about puberty blockers means that there is a mother that needs to be removed from the care of that child. Before we continue, let's talk about protecting your retirement. Inflation is already running hot, and now the Dems are raising the debt ceiling. So here's the deal. If you think money grows on trees like our government does, then just keep living in ignorance. But if you're freaked out about the impact this additional spending is going to have on an already high inflation, then protect your savings now. Diversify a portion of your savings into gold and silver with Birch Gold Group. If you haven't reached out to Birch Gold to diversify your IRA or 401k into a precious metals IRA, you should do it today. Text Candace to 484848 and get a free info kit on protecting your savings with gold. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers. Let them help you safeguard your investments. Text Candace to 484848 to claim your free, no obligation info kit on holding gold and silver in a tax sheltered account. Again, text Candace to 484848 to take the first step in protecting your savings today. I've spoken to people that do have trans regret, particularly Walt Heyer came on my show. I've had him multiple times on various shows, and the statistics that she probably needs to be paying most attention to are the ones about trans regret, and it is usually because, as Walt Heyer told me, because they're forced into making a decision because you have an entire ecosystem of people, the parents, the doctors, that are complicit in making them make a radical decision that in the end will ruin their lives. You know, your child will not be able to procreate. I can't even imagine putting a small child on puberty blockers. That means the age of this child she's talking about, this child has not even gone through puberty yet, and they're trying to talk, they're trying to discuss blocking that puberty from taking place. I mean, this, what you're looking at, is worse than a radical. You can be a radical unto thyself. This woman is harming a child, and this TikTok account should be removed. This woman should be investigated, but that would all be happening in a sane world.
Are now breeding grounds for ideological conformity, where dissenting opinions are met with hostility and even silenced. She points to the growing trend of cancel culture as a prime example of how woke ideology has become a tool of control. Instead of engaging in thoughtful discussions or allowing for diverse perspectives, individuals who hold opposing views are often shamed, ostracized, or even fired from their jobs. For Owens, this is a direct attack on free speech and a dangerous path to totalitarianism.
Hi-ho the Dario, it keeps my friends safe. And let me see a hooray! Put your hands up in the air!
Like, the kids are not singing along because they're not enjoying the song, and they're not enjoying wearing a mask, and you're creepy for trying to make this into a fun song. I mean, it hurts my heart to see children being abused. As funny as you want to find this, like, insane teacher, like, we are now suddenly in an era in society where we're just watching child abuse take place, and whether it's because it's always under the guise of health. Like, trans children, it's health. It's all about their health. No, it's not. It's about unstable adults that are forcing children, perfectly great children, to make decisions about their lives. Masking children is about health. No, it's obviously not about health, since we know that less than 500 children have died from COVID, and those 500 children, by the way, had comorbidities like terminal cancer, right? And they're counting them as COVID deaths. So this is just what happens when society, to me, is just on the wrong trajectory. And I hope eventually those babies are freed. I hate seeing stuff like this. It hurts my heart.
Why does it matter?
Oh, it doesn't matter to you. But to me, I'm a male. Okay?
Okay.
So, what are you? So I can call you a sir or ma'am. What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
I assume that you're a man. Okay?
Another aspect of woke culture that Owens finds particularly troubling is its influence on corporate America. She has criticized companies for adopting woke policies and practices that she argues are often more about virtue signaling than actual progress. According to Owens, businesses are being coerced into promoting political correctness, diversity quotas, and other policies
they would have
that
rolled
do
it
not
out
reflect
in
their true
black and
values
brown
or the
poor
needs of their
communities
customers.
first.
Instead of
Not
focusing
the
on
billionaires,
creating high-quality
not every
products
single
and
living
services,
U.S. president, not every single U.S. governor, every single one. It would have been the poor people
Owens
first.
Contends that this undermines capitalism and the free market by encouraging companies to
I don't know what
pander
she's
to
talking about. It
political
literally was the
ideologies
poor people first.
rather than
Remember all
focusing
of the
on their
initiatives?
core
They were like, we should let black and brown people get the shot first, especially I think it was in Maine or Vermont, where they were actually trying to put in place policies to encourage black people to get it first. It's just that black people were a bit wiser to the corruption of the FDA and the CDC, given the history of the Tuskegee experiments and things of that nature that have taken place, where, you know, people have, the government has said they tried to help black and brown people first, and it hasn't turned out so well for black and brown people. So she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just talking about all the people that got the shot on camera, and I don't even know how real or authentic any of that stuff was. So, yeah, they tried, and they just failed.
The nuclear family is the foundation of a strong society, and that when this structure
about chairs. Full pun intended, chairs are the biggest issue in the fat community. The amount of public spaces like doctors' offices, malls, what the f ever, places that have seating, restaurants, etc., never ever have accessible seating. Some places just have stools, or some places just have armed, small, dinky looking chairs. As a fat person, If you have never ever done the following things. If you have never looked at a picture of a restaurant on Google Maps to try and figure out if the seating would be accessible to your size, if you've never broken a chair in a public space especially, if you've never had to second guess whether or not it was okay to sit down in the chairs provided to you, if you've never had a panic attack at school because you couldn't fit into the goddamn chair desk situation, then you don't deal with fat phobia at the same level that the rest of us do. And this is just one example. There are a plethora of other examples I could give you. But this one is really, really important.
Oh, the oppression of chairs, man. See, TikTok Candace would totally agree with him and be like, yes, we have to stop having chairs. I'm sure a guy like him would really want to stand the whole time and not be able to sit at all. Yeah, I mean, this is just more of the crazy. The fat acceptance movement has no limits. It really does have no limits. Like, at no point has it ever occurred to him that he could lose weight and maybe be able to fit into one of those chairs a little bit better. Instead, we have to get rid of chairs, which is going to be really unfortunate for the people that need them like him.
And individual empowerment.